Today I wanted to talk about something I've seen happening in my girls lately. They are extremely fearful of failing. They have this perfectionist idea that if they do something, it needs to be perfect the first time. And I realized that this is something that a lot of us go through, and I have faced many times throughout my life. I am no stranger to failure. I have failed many times throughout my life. I failed classes. I have failed graduate classes. I failed undergraduate classes. Sorry, that one's hard for me to say. But I just had the business blow up in my face a few years ago. Had to declare bankruptcy because of it. Lost everything. We are now renting a house because we can't qualify for a mortgage. It is what it is. Having failed so many times in my life, I would say that I've learned the taste of fear of failure very well. I have allowed myself to be stunted by it in the past. I have allowed it to decide my future, and I've also had the opportunity to decide to not let it impact me as much as it could. Right now I'm trying a lot of new things. I'm in the middle of getting a new full-time position. I have been a stay-at-home dad for the last few years, and I've absolutely loved it, but my current means of financing my life and providing for my family is not meeting the needs that we have in any way, shape, or form. It's been very inconsistent and currently is not providing half of what a family of 4, let alone a family of 6, needs and needs. We would be getting rid of this Jeep if we could get any real money out of it. That's just the reality of where we're at. So I think the reason we fear failure so much is mostly psychological. We fear the judgments of others. We fear being looked at or feeling inadequate. We fear not knowing what might happen. And I think also the fear of loss. That fear can paralyze us. It can inhibit us from going forward, from trying, from progressing. I know it has impacted my life significantly, and learning to overcome it is always a process. Sometimes I think I've got it, and then something new comes out. And I learned that there's still quite a bit more for me to learn. One of the things I've learned and continually have to relearn is reframing my mentality around failure. Looking at it more as an opportunity to learn and to grow and to get better at whatever I'm doing or whatever I quote unquote failed in. One thing I'm trying to help my daughters understand or realize or learn is that none of us are perfect. We can't expect ourselves to be perfect. And trying to be perfect is, one, a lesson in futility, and two, not realistic. Even professionals make mistakes. Even people that are at the top of their field make mistakes. No one is infallible. And accepting that we are going to make mistakes, we're not going to be successful in everything we do, especially when we first started, takes humility. But it is something that is very necessary and something that helps us to accept that while we may not succeed in everything that we do initially, through time and effort and hard work, we can become just about anything we want to. Something we can all do to reframe how we look at success and failure is by breaking down our goals or what we want to achieve into smaller steps. If I wanted to become a bodybuilder, expecting that to happen tomorrow or next week is unrealistic. But if that's my final goal, making the goal to go to the gym tomorrow, that's something I can succeed in. So having those small steps, those small intermediary type goals can help us to not set ourselves up for failure and make it so that we can succeed. Also, not getting down on ourselves when we don't succeed, accepting that things may not go as we want them to, but that's okay. It is okay not to be perfect. It is okay to not succeed and even to fail. Learning to accept that is a huge step in succeeding. Now, something I often have said to my kids, in all four of them, I think, but especially my last three, is that you only fail truly when you give up. There's a quote from, I believe it's National Treasure, that Thomas Edison tried and failed 1,000 times to make a light bulb, but he only had to succeed once. He just never gave up. He learned 1,000 or so ways how not to make a light bulb. He learned every time he didn't succeed. Having people around you that support you and love you no matter what can help you overcome fear of failure as well. Because knowing that they don't care whether you fail and that they will support you despite that, and also celebrate your successes, can help quite a bit. One thing about failure is that using it as a way to learn is huge. It has been for me. The times when I have failed have been the biggest learning opportunities in my life, really. I went to way too much school, but the classes I failed and had to retake ultimately became some of my strengths because, well, part of it was I had to redo it, but part of it too is that I was able to see why I failed and correct those mistakes. One key is continually striving and progressing and working on our failures. I think in many ways I strive for perfection, and I think we all should strive to be perfect. However, accepting that that's a long-term goal and that there are a lot of things that make us imperfect and lead us to failing is kind of paramount to having good mental health. Accepting that we aren't perfect, and while we may want to be and often strive to get to where we are perfect, it's not something that happens easily. At least I've never met anyone that's perfect, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay not being perfect. I want my girls especially to know that it's okay to not be perfect. And everyone else, it's okay to not be perfect. It's okay to want to be, but not to let that stop us from progressing.